Hello, everyone. What are you guys doing today? So reminder, next Tuesday there is no class. Next Tuesday. Next Monday and Tuesday there is no school. School is closed. And then if you have your Wednesday classes, you're going to go to your Wednesday classes. And Thursday, you're going to have your very first exam in this class. It will be in-class exam. Don't be late. Come here to take the exam. Once you're done, you can leave. The exam will be 1 hour, 15 minutes. And I already posted the review sheet on Brightspace. And today also I'm going to tell you what will be in the exam. And then Friday, you're going to have a PLTO, but you're not going to have the lecture. I have a very important exam to take for 4 hours, so I'll be out. Okay? So next week, Friday, no lecture, but you have your PLTO. And also, I decided to put one question from 4.5 in the exam. We are going to go over 4.5. We will not finish it. So whatever we covered from there, there'll be only one question in the exam. And then you have your chapter section. 4.1, 4.2, 4.3, homework and quizzes due next Tuesday midnight. And then for 4.5, I'm going to give you time to do that. Okay? Next week, Tuesday. 4.1, 2, 3. We are done with them. So you have your homework and quizzes due. Any other question before we start? Any comments? Concern? Complaint? Okay, then let's start 4.5. 4.5 talks about the application of system of equations. We learn how to solve them. Now the question is, why do we care? Why do you want to learn them? Or why did we have to learn them? Well, we learn them because in our real life, there are many scenarios we can solve our problems easily with system of equations. One of the scenario is mathematical problem. If you have mathematical problem, fun mathematical problem, you can solve them. Or if you have money problem in your life that you need to calculate something, you can use that. If you have speed problem, you have to calculate some speed or something, you can use that. So we actually use system of equations a lot in real life without even realizing that we can solve them using system of equations. So the main trick of solving system of equation or applying system of equations in one problem is that when you read any one problem, try to translate everything into mathematical notation. Especially if you see the word is means equal in mathematics. If you see the word total means sum, means when you add, it's what you get as total. When you see the word difference, so sum means plus. When you see the word difference, it means minus. So if you know all those symbols, all those words, what they turn into when you use mathematical symbol, things will be easier for you to understand. So this is a fun math question. It says two numbers, total 39. It means when you add two numbers, the sum is 39. And one number is twice the other number. So one number is double the other number. And when we add the double number with the one number, the sum is 39. What are those numbers? We can use logic for that or trial and guess, but we don't have to. We can simply use mathematical notation. So first sentence, it says two numbers. Let's say one number is x and the other number is y. Now two numbers, total 39. What does that mean in mathematical notation? If you add these two numbers, what's the total? 39. So the first sentence here, two numbers total 39, gives us the first equation. X plus y equals 39. At the same time, we have another information. One number is twice the other number. So let's say this one number is x. Is means equal twice the other number. So how you're going to write twice the other number? What is our other number? Y, right? If one number is x, the other number is y. So twice the other number means what? Twice means two times. 2y. Second power means square. One number is a square of the number. Then is second power. Twice means two times. So we have our two equations. The first sentence gives us the sum. The second sentence gives us the position. One number is twice the other. And now we see these become system of equations. And we know how to solve them. We have substitution method and we have elimination method. Which method do you think would be easier here? Substitution or elimination? Elimination. You can use elimination, but in order to add, to use elimination, you need to have x and y together next to one another. So with my other class, I use substitution. With you, I can use elimination, no problem. Elimination. So in order to eliminate, we need to bring y next to the x. So we get x minus 2y equals x minus 2y equals 0. This is what it becomes. And then you can add the first equation with this. X plus y equals 39. But when we add them, or when you subtract them, when you add them, they don't get canceled out, right? Because 2y is negative and only y is positive. So in order to cancel, you have two choices. Either if you want to cancel the y's, multiply by 2 the second equation, or if you cancel the x, then just subtract. So first you decide which one you want to cancel. Do you want to cancel x or do you want to cancel y? Depending on your decision, you make your next step. So let's say I decided to cancel my x. Cancel x. So if you want to cancel x, I need to subtract this, and this, so that when you combine these two, plus x minus x cancel out. And we have minus 2y and then minus 1y. So we get minus 3y. And then we have 0 minus 39, which gives you negative 39. So when you divide by -3 both sides, the negative cancel out from the numerator and denominator. And 3 goes to 39 13 times. 3 goes to 3 once, 3 goes to 9 3 times. So we get y equals 13. And then we have the information for x. X is twice y. So 2 times our y is 13. And what is 2 times 13? 26. So in MyMathLab, it will ask for what's the smaller number and what's the larger number. So it's the smaller number is 13. Smaller number is 13, and bigger number is 26. So if you want to do substitution, you can replace this x here with 2y. So you get 3y equals 39. Divided by 3, y equals 13. So in this case, substitution is easier actually. But you can use either method, it doesn't matter.
Why?
So on the question it says one number is twice the other number. So suppose one number is x. Is means equal. So x is twice the other number. If the other number is y, then what is twice the other number?
Like x is twice than the other number. X.
One number is twice the other number. So suppose this one number is represented by x. The other number is represented by y. In math, is means equal. Now what does twice mean? 2 times. So one number is twice the other number, means x is 2y. Or if you want, you can say y is 2x. If you say one number is y, another number is x, then it should be y is 2x.
So there's like -1y, and then what happened over here? Like I'm just confused about this one. Why did we do this? And then
because you told me to use elimination. If you want to use elimination, x and y has to be next to one another.
So that's the answer. That's there.
Mm-hmm.
The next step. Okay.
So if you want to use elimination, this 2y cannot be on the other side of the equal sign. It has to come next to the x. So when you cross the equal sign, you have to change sign. This 2 is positive here, so it becomes negative when it gets next to the x.
So basically, that's like the next step is this thing. After this. And the negative doesn't stay here, or the negative is gone?
Negative is not gone, so here you have x equals to y. And since you told me to use elimination, that means I have to move this from right to the left. So they have to change sign. So the 2y turns into negative, and then we have nothing left on the right side, so it becomes 0.
Okay, so in that case, only the negative 2y is going to be just negative. That's it.
Because you only change the 2y. And then I compare this with this, x plus y equals 39. In what is elimination, you have to have the same coefficient with different sign. So here we have same coefficient 1, but our sign is same. So we cannot change them. We cannot cancel them. Here we have different sign, but our coefficient are not same. So you cannot cancel either one of them. So you have to modify your equation. Either you modify the first equation or you modify the second equation, it's up to you. What I did, I modified the second equation, multiply this entire thing by -1. Why? Because now the entire thing becomes -x, -y, -39. And if you look at this versus this, if you combine them now, I can cancel the x's. It's much easier in substitution. So if you want to use substitution, let me get a page. Substitution. We have x equals 2y, our second equation. And our first equation is x plus y equals 39. In substitution, all you have to do is replace your x here with the 2y here, because x is 2y. So this x turns into 2y, and then you still have your y plus 39. So how many y's we have? 3y. 3y is 39. Divided by 3y is 13. See, it's much simpler. And then we go to find x. X is twice y. We just realized our y is 13, so multiply 2 13, and you get 26. So you write in MyMathLab, smaller number is 13, and larger number is 26. On MyMathLab, they don't care about x and y. They care about the number. Which one is smaller, which one is bigger.
Professor, but how can we know, like, for which value we have to substitute?
You solve for y. No, it depends on your equation, what equation you get. So once you solve for one variable, you substitute into one of the equations to get the other variable. I use the x equals to y because our x is already alone. But if you want, you can use x plus y equals 39. Actually, you shouldn't. If you use one equation to solve one variable, you cannot use the same equation to solve for the other variable. Okay, so that's the other one. We use this equation to solve for y. That means to solve for x, you definitely cannot use this equation, x1y. You must use the other equation. Any question? This is too easy. So this will have been the exam. What will be in the exam is the question you see here. This question says, Sulu buys 5 apples and 4 pears and pays $22.80. If apple costs 3 times as much as pears, how much is the cost of apples and pears? Or maybe A equals apple, and then P is pear. So 5A. Good job. How'd you get 3A? So apple is what? 1 apple is how many pears? 3. So 1 apple will give you 3 pears. And these are our 2 equations. 1 apple is 3 pears. is the second one. And 5 apple and 4 pear is $22.80. So one equation will always be about money, and the other one will be about quantity. So if we have this type of scenario, you'll always have these two type of equation. One about your money, how much you have, how much you can spend, and the other one is how many you need, or how many information, what information they give you about how many of each element. And now it's easy, because once you have two equations, you go to either substitution or elimination. Now think wisely. What do you think would be the easier to use here? Substitution or elimination? Substitution. We learned our lesson from the last example, right? When you see one variable is alone, it's better to use substitution. Our A is alone here, and 1A means 3P. So we are going to change this A here into 3P. So 5A plus 4P gives us 2280. Now we know this A is same as 3P. So 5 times 3P plus 4P is $22.80. And we are using substitution. And now we are happy because our second equation doesn't have two variables. It has only one variable P. So we go and solve algebraically. What do we do first? 5 times 3, multiplication. So we get 15P plus 4P is 2280. So how many P we have? 19 of them. 19P is 2280. And to get the P alone, what do we do? Divide by 19, and then we get stuck. We have no idea what is 2280 divided by 19, right? So we have to go to our old school method. Multiply manually by this. In the exam, you're not allowed to use calculator. So do you remember how do you divide manually?
Figured out one number that is like almost the same or close.
So you start with one number. Can you divide 19 by 2? Sorry, can you divide 2 by 19? Then we increase our number. The 2 becomes 22. Can you divide 20 by 19? Not evenly, but at least can you divide 20 by 19, 22 by 19? We can once. Not evenly, but it doesn't matter. We have at least 119 in the 22. So let me erase this. Once you figure out how many times you have, you multiply. 19 times 1 is 19. You have to put it under your 22 and you subtract. So 19 goes to 22 once. The result goes on the top, and then you multiply the number with what you are dividing, and you put it below your 22. And then subtract. What is 22 minus 19? 3. Now, can you divide 3 by 19? So you have to increase our 3. So we go to the next number and bring it down. Now the 3 becomes 38. Can you divide 38 by 19? Evenly or not evenly? How many times 19 goes to 38? Twice. You guys are smart, you know the answer. Twice. And then you write 19 times 2 is 38. You subtract, you get 0. That means we have no remainder left. So we are happy. But see, we did not use the 0 from 80. So let's put it here because we didn't use it. And now we were given 22.80. So when you divide, it's supposed to have a decimal in our answer. The decimal goes between which two numbers you took that division from. So first you took 22, you got 1. And then after the decimal, you took 8, you get the answer 2. So 1 and 2 has a decimal between them. So this decimal here, you see, it goes between 1 and 2. So anytime you get a number before the decimal and after the decimal, you have two numbers, the result, the decimal will go between whatever you have from before the decimal and whatever you have from after the decimal. So that means our P is $1.20. So each pair costs $1.20. Not bad. Actually, it is bad. One pair is $1.20. And then we look for apple. We know each apple is 3 times the pair. So 3 times $1.20. So how much is each apple? $3.60. If you have no idea what we did, let's do the multiplication manually. When you multiply, you always have to start from. When you multiply or add, you always have to add, subtract, or multiplication. Always start with the right side. So 3 times 0 is 0. 3 times 2 is 6. Come on. 6. And then we have 3 times 1 is 3. Now, when you multiply, the division rule doesn't always work. What always works is you have to see in your problem, after the decimal, how many numbers you have. So here, after the decimal, we have 2 digits, and 3 doesn't have any decimal. So in your solution, in your answer, you're supposed to have 2 digits after your decimal. So 2 digits, and then you have to put the decimal. That's how multiplication works. In multiplication, you have to count whatever you're multiplying, total how many numbers you have after your decimal. And then the result supposed to have that many numbers after the decimal. Where in division, that doesn't happen. In division, you look for the position. Which two number, between which two number you have a decimal. And if you have a number before that in your result, and after that, the decimal is supposed to go between that. So we found our result. Here is $3.20 and apple is $3.60. Sorry, $1.20 and $3.60. Let me give you another example with the decimal, because in the exam, I don't know what you're going to see in the final exam. Just to refresh your memory, let's say have same thing, $1.20, and this time you're multiplying by 0.3. The same scenario. You're going to multiply 3 with 120, so you get 360. Same thing. But now, after the decimal, how many places you have total? 2 places here and 1 place here. So that means in your answer, you're supposed to have 3 places after your decimal. So 1 place, 2 place, 3 place. That means you're supposed to have a 0 here. See? And just writing 0.60 looks weird. So we put a 0 in the front, in front of the decimal. So in multiplication of the decimal, it counts how many places you have. In division, it doesn't do that. It counts, I think it doesn't do that. It counts how many, what is the position. Okay. So let me also show you the division with the decimal real quick. So let's say you have 1.9 and you are dividing 22.80. Suppose, okay? So these are example, completely unrelated with whatever we did. Now the thing is, we actually don't know how to divide decimal by decimal. We are so smart, but we still don't know how to divide that. So what we do, we have to change the position of this decimal so that whatever you are dividing by, it turns into a whole number. So you have to change your point between 1 and 9 to one position after the 9. So this 1.9 turns into 19. And now we are happy because we know how to divide by a whole number. We don't have to divide by a decimal. But remember I said math is fair. Once you do something to one position, you have to do the same thing to the other position. So we needed to move the decimal one places to the right. Math says, hey, since you did it on the left, you must change this position also one place to the right. So now 22.80 turns into what? What number we get? 228.0, which is simply 228. And then you divide like what you divide. You take 22 and then 19, bring down the next number, you get 38, same thing. So in division, we have to change the position if you're dividing by a decimal. But in multiplication, you can always multiply decimal by decimal, but the result's supposed to have total number of places, whatever you're multiplying. Okay? Any question? Then go ahead, try the next one. It's very similar to the last one. And in your exam, which is next week, they're going to have one of these. Either that fruit problem or this one. But you may not see fruit, you may see different things. And let me take the attendance. Andrea. Sheikh. Christian. Christina. Christopher. See, I have so many Chris. Christian, Christina, Christopher. Daniel. Devlat. Devlat Takirov. Dennis. Idalis. Jared. Jay. Joshua. Justin. Caitlin. Kelly. Kyle. Lady. Muntaha. Nayari. Nicholas I. Nicholas S. RST. Rana. Ricardo. Taj. Mora. And Zichi. Zichi. No. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh man. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Are you guys done copying the question? So we have a party going on. Let's say you and your friends are going to throw a fruit party, and your budget is only $24. You don't want to waste your money. And you need to buy 30 pieces of avocado and kiwi. If each avocado is $1.50 and kiwi cost only 50 cents, then how many of each you can buy with your $24? Real life scenario. If you face this problem in real life, how do you solve it? Nayari, any idea? In real life, like we do face this type of scenario many times, right? Anytime you have a guest in your house, or even for yourself, you want to spend some money and you have some budget and you have some amount in your mind. How do you decide how many you can buy? Do you just take a bunch and then go to the cashier and then cashier will tell you $20 or $24? Or let's say you are the cashier. So you have some dumb customer who doesn't want to do any math. So you have to do the math for them. How are you going to solve this? Since you don't know how to solve this logically, let's go to our system of equations. So next time if you face this type of problem, make sure you bring a paper and pen in the store so that you can do your math there. What is one of the equation you have? Let's say A and K. So you can see which one is what. So let's say avocado is A and kiwi represented by K. So 24 is your budget, but how many you need? 30. So number of avocado and number of kiwi, the total number of the quantity, you need 30. And remember I said before, one of these equations will be about quantity, how many you need, and one of them is about money, how much is your budget, how much you have. So you can easily figure out the quantity. We need 30 of them. And we need only 2 types of fruit, avocado and kiwi. Now, our second problem is money. Our budget is $24 only. So what's the equation for $24?
1.58.
1.50A 0.50K equals to 24. So avocado times its price plus kiwi times its price, whatever we get, that's our total money we have. So you did a good job figuring out the first problem, finding the 2 equations. And then we have a second problem, all those decimal. We hate the decimal, right? Most people do. So there are 2 tricks we are going to use. The first trick is if you have a 0 after the decimal, after a whole number, and then there is no number after those 0, you can always disregard those zeros. For example, here, this 0 doesn't have any number after that. This 0 doesn't have any number after that. So after the decimal, if you have a 0 and no number after that, those zeros doesn't count. So let's cross them out. They don't count. So now we have 1.5A and 0.5K. We still don't like the point, the decimal. So there is a trick to get rid of these points. You look at one number, the biggest number, and you figure out how many number you have after the decimal. For example, here, after this decimal, how many number we have left to it? 1 number, right? Because we cancel the 0. Same thing if you look at the second digit. How many numbers you have after the decimal? Only 1 place. So everything has only 1 place after the decimal. So in order to get rid of that decimal, You just need to multiply by 1 and that 1 0. Whatever number you have or how many number you have after the decimal that you count, you just multiply by that many zeros and placing 1 in the front. For example, if you have, let's say, 2.34 and you want to get to that point, just multiply by 100 because we have 2 zeros. 2 places, so multiply by 2 zeros. Let's say 1.234. Now, after the decimal, we have 3 places that we count. So can you guess we need to multiply by what? 1,000. 3 zeros. So whatever number or however number count after the decimal, multiply by that many zero, but place 1 in front of those zeros. The decimal get vanished. Do you know why? That's because when you have 2.34, this is same as 234 over 100. This is what 2.34 means. So if you multiply by 100, what happens to the 100 and 100? Cancel out. And you get 234. In our case, we have 1.5, which is 15 over 10. How do I know? Because whatever place you have after the decimal, you have that many zeros on the denominator. This is the rule. So we have 10 on the denominator. So multiply by 10 to cancel that out. So whatever many places you have after the decimal that you count, that number is below that many zeros. So if you multiply by the same thing, 0 cancel out. The denominator cancel out. The decimal cancel out. So this horrible looking second equation turns into a nice, good looking 15a, 5k, and what is 24 times 10? 240. This becomes big. 24 becomes 240. But still we are happy because the other two things, yeah, they look nice compared to what we started with. Any problem up to here? Or any question up to here? Now, we go back each equation. We have a plus k equals 30, and we have 15a plus 5k equals 240. If you look at both of them, now we know we need to solve them, right? So which one do you think is better? Substitution or elimination?
Substitution.
You can do both, but what do you think would be easier?
Substitution, because there are 2 variables that are allowed.
Personally, I like elimination, but substitution is definitely good, not bad. So I can actually show you both. Let me start with my favorite one, elimination. So if you want to eliminate, we have to have same coefficient with different sign. So first you have to decide which one you want to get rid of, A or K. Why? Smaller number. You definitely can multiply by 15, but 5 is much smaller than 15. So go with the smaller number. Once you decide what to cancel, you need to multiply the top by that number. So I decided to cancel my K. That means I need minus 5k. So minus 5, minus 5, minus 5. You need to multiply the entire first equation by negative 5. So we have minus 5a, minus 5k, and what is minus 5 times 30? 150. Negative 150. Not 400, 150. You get 450 if it's multiplied by 15. 100? Oh, yeah, I had 400. So I was like, 400. So now we are happy because we can cancel our k's. The k have same coefficient with opposite sign. So when you add them, they die. So how many a's we have? How many a? 10 of them. -5, +15. When you don't have any sign, you have an invisible plus sign. So here we have 10a. And how much is 240 minus 150? 90. If you don't know how, 0 minus 0 is 0. 4 is smaller than 5, so you cannot cancel. So you go to bank and borrow some money. Your bank is 2. Bank says, okay, I'm going to give you $1, but that $1 will turn into $14. Like when you transfer from one country to another country, your $1 may be more. It worth more in your country. So bank gave you $1, but in your place, it becomes 10. And bank loses $1, so bank has only $1 now. So now we can subtract. 14 minus 5 is 9, and we left with 1 minus 1, which is 0. We don't write it in the front. We just ignore. So we have 90 here. 10a equals 90. Then how much is our a? 9. So you can buy 9 avocados. Then how many kiwis? If you can buy 9 avocados, how many kiwis you can buy now? Remember, 5, not 5. Avocado and kiwi. Total, how many you need? 30 of them. And if you know you are buying 9 avocados, then you subtract 9. So how many kiwis you can buy? 21. So with a $24 budget, you can buy 9 of them, 9 avocados, and 21 kiwis. Kiwi costs less, so you can buy more of them. Avocado is expensive, so you buy less of them. Now if you want to do substitution, so let me write down, this is elimination. Elimination. If you want to use substitution, no problem. Personally, I don't like that, but I can show you. Substitution. We have a plus k equals 30. So subtract k from both sides or a from both sides, it doesn't matter. You get a equals 30 minus k. And then our second equation is 15a plus 5k equals 240. This a here is the entire 30 minus k. So we are going to replace this a with 30 minus k. So 15 times 30 minus k. And we still have our 5k, and we still have our 240. Now, one downside about substitution is that you have to multiply this big number. 15 times 30. Or you can do 15 times 3 and then put a 0 after that. This 0 is an extra 0. And do you know at least what is 15 times 3? 45. So it's 45 with an extra 0. And then you distribute the 15 here. So minus 15k plus 5k equals 240. These are like terms, so you combine them. You get negative 10k. So we don't want this 450. So you get rid of that. And you get 10K equals, once you do the subtraction, you have 450 minus 240. Anytime you have two different signs you're combining, you always have to subtract. So 0 minus 0 is 0, 5 minus 4 is 1, 4 minus 2 is 20. So you get negative, because your 450 is negative, you get negative 10K equals negative 210. You divide by negative 10 both sides, and you get K is 21. Once you know your K, you come back here and you find out your A. 30 minus 21, that gives you 9A. Any question? Was anything unclear, confusing, or which part was confusing? Definitely something was confusing, right? At least some of you. Would you like to elaborate that more? Remember, all of these questions, except the first one, they're final exam question. So whatever we are going to do from 4.5, expect to see one of them in the final exam. And definitely in next week's exam, I'm going to give either this one or the other one. The scenario will be different. The numbers will be different. But you have to do the same thing. One equation will be for quantity of your element, how many you need. And the other one is the money, how much money you have. So any question? No. So the next scenario is not about, oops. The next scenario is not about money and quantity, money and fruit. It's still about money, but this time it's about coins. So this is another type of final exam question. As to suppose you have a piggy bank that doesn't see through. You don't see the inside. You only can put it money here. And this piggy bank, it never put any money, you only put coins. Now, somehow you found out that the piggy bank has 19 quarters and nickels. And then again, somehow you found out that the total money you have inside that piggy bank is $3.55. And that gets you curious. How many nickels I have? How many quarters I have? So this is what you are finding. If you know your quantity and if you know how much total you have, can you figure out how many of each type you have? Just like the last example, you know you needed 30 total and you know your money was $24, but you need to figure out how many you needed for each. Same thing here. You know total money, you know total quantity, you need to know how many of each type you have. And see the eyes, they're searching for nickels and quarters. It's a fun, what do you call them? Give. So those of who are late, our next exam is next week, Thursday. After this question, I'm going to tell you what will be in the exam. I already told you that before, but I'm going to tell you again. And next week, Monday, Tuesday, there is no school. We have our exam Thursday, and Friday, we don't have any lecture. I have an exam to take, so I will be out. So you're not going to have a lecture, but instead you're going to go to, I mean, not instead, you have to go to PLTL, but there won't be any lecture. So any volunteer to give me the two equations? Mayari? Let's say Q is the quarter and N is the nickel. Because XY actually makes me kind of confused. What is X, what is Y? So let's say Q is the quarter and N is the nickel. So what is the equation? Q plus N is 19. So this is the equation for quantity. How many we have total? And then we need an equation for money. 0.25Q, 0.05, and then equals how much? 3.55. Now my question is, where did you get this? What is this? Get down. 25 means 25 cents. Each quarter is odd 25 cents. And how about this 0.05? What is this? 5 cents. Each nickel is 5 cents. So you multiply the variable with its value, just like we did in our last example. One avocado was 150, so you did 150 times A. One kiwi was 50 cents, so you did 0.5 times K. Same thing here, you multiply the number of the quantity times its value. So 0.25 Q and 0.05 nickel. And we are using 0.25 instead of 25 cents because our total money is in dollars, not in cents. So if they give you the total number in cents, then you write 25Q, 5N equals 355. Or since they didn't give us the dollar, they didn't give us the cent, they give us the dollar. So you have to use the decimal. But I hate decimal, right? So we're going to get to the decimal anyway. And using the trick we learned in the last example, what do you think we need to multiply our equation by? So if you have one place, you multiply by 10 after the decimal. How many places you have after the decimal? 2 non-zero places. So you have to multiply by 2 zeros, which is 100. Depending on how many non-zero number you have after the decimal, you multiply by that many zero with the 1 in the front. So 2 places needs 2 zeros to get to the decimal. So you multiply by 1, 2, 0. In other words, we are converting our dollar into cents. So we have 25Q, 5 nickel, and 355 coins. And our first equation is Q plus nickel is 19. And then you decide, do you go for elimination or do you go for substitution? Which method? Good. And then you decide, do you eliminate Q or do you eliminate N? N. Good job. So we have positive 5N in the first equation. How many N you need in the second equation to cancel that out? -5. But can you just multiply N with -5? We also have to multiply Q with -5 and 19 with -5. And then you add. The 5N and 5N cancel out because they have opposite sign. How much is 25 minus 5Q? 20Q, and then here you have 355, and if you multiply 5 times 19, let's do it manually. 19 times 5. You know how to multiply, right? So what do you multiply first? 5 and 9, how much you get? And what number goes on the down? 5, and 4 goes on the top as an addition. And then what do you multiply? 5 times 1 is 5, and what do you do with the plus 4? Add the 4, it becomes 95. So we have 95, what we are subtracting. So how much is 355 minus 95? This is my T, it looks weird. 5 minus 5 gives us 0. And we cannot subtract 9 from 5. So what do? We borrow money. We go to the bank, and bank gives us $1, but that gives us $15. Bank loses $1, it becomes $2 instead of $3. And now we can subtract easily. What is 15 minus 9? 6. And we have 2 minus nothing, 2. So we have 20Q equals 260. How do you solve for Q? Divide by 20. So 0 cancel out. And basically you're looking for what is half of 26. 13. So Q is 13. So in your bank, you have 13 quarters. So how many nickels do you have? Total, how many coins do you have inside the bank? 19. The equation we have was Q plus nickels is 19. That means it's subtract nickel. So you get Q equals 19 minus nickel. Sorry, quarter equals 19 minus nickel. Oh, sorry, what I'm doing? I need to solve for N, not Q. I already know what is Q. So it's subtract Q because we already know what is Q. So nickel is 19 minus Q, but we know our Q is 13. So 19 minus 13, how many quarters we have? 6 of them. You can do this mentally, but if you have no idea how to do this mentally, that's what you're supposed to do. Actually, in reality, you can do it mentally because once you know it's 13 quarter and you have to roll 19, obviously you have 16. Why do I have Q twice?
Is the exact equal the nickel because it's so for
Q is 13, right? 19 minus 13 is 6, right?
yeah, but you were talking for
Yeah. N equals, oh. Now I see. Thank you. Nicole is 6. Nicole. Thank you for catching that. 6 nickel, 13 quarters.
on the other side. Is it necessary? Can't we just like put the number down 13 and then just like divide it?
You cannot divide.
Not divide.
Subtract. So in reality, once you get there, you don't even have to do any of this. You can simply write because it's 6. How? Because you did the math in your head.
But I think this that after the 355 has 3 different features.
5 minus 5 is 0. Now 5 minus 9 is impossible. So I need to borrow money. Few days ago, I actually watched a video where they said, well, it's simple, you don't have to borrow anything. Let me see if I can copy this here. 1 minute. I'm gonna just take 1 minute and see. So we have 355, 95. In this video, they said, well, 5 minus 5 is 0. Good. 5 minus 9, not possible. So you do 9 minus 5, which is -4. And then you have 3 here. And then there is something combining this. 3 minus 4 is -1. We don't have any -1. You know what? See, it seems cool, but I was like, that will mess our head. Section 4.123, homework and quizzes. Da, 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 da. All of that due date 4.1, 4.2, 4.3 is next week, Tuesday. I didn't put the deadline yet. I'm going to do it today after our class. So let's see the date. Next Tuesday is, oh man, I can't even see. Next Tuesday is 17th. Tuesday 2/17. Only 4.123. 4.5, we are not done. Once we are done with the exam, I'm going to introduce you more, and then I'm going to give you more time to do the 4.5. But you still should start doing 4.5 because in the exam, they're going to see those type of question I did. The fruit problems. The nickel is same, but I'm not going to give the nickel problem. I'm going to give the fruit problems. Okay? Now let me tell you what will be in the exam. So first of all, this review sheet is posted on Brightspace. If you haven't seen it yet, log into Brightspace. Under content on the left panel, you see review sheet and exam review and solution. Click on that tab, and then the first thing you see is a review sheet. I posted both document format and the PDF format. Whatever is easier for you to download, go download that. And this doesn't have any solution. Why not? Because every problem you see here, most of them we did in class. So to see the solution, all you have to do is look through your notebook. If you taken notes, if you did not, then this is our page, the video page. You click here, and then you'll see all the solution in the recording in our class videos. And then if you need to clarify anything, email me anytime. So from section 3.234, I'm going to give one question with 4 parts. So there will be one question from these. Obviously, the numbers will be different, okay? The type. One question from this type. First, you're going to find the slope, and then x-intercept, y-intercept, and then graph. So one question, 4 parts. From 3.4, question number 2, and then in 3.5, question number 5. Combining these two, I'm going to give one question. So I'm going to give you 2 points, and then first I say, find the slope, and then find the equation of the line. The second line, definitely you're going to see it. The equation will be different, but the wording will be same. There will be a line given to you, and you're going to find the equation. I may ask for only slope intercept or the only standard form. So one of them I'll ask, but not both. From 3.5, you'll see question number 6, where you have to find the equation of the line with a point and the slope, and then find the slope of the line parallel to an equation and perpendicular to equation. So you have to find both of them, parallel and perpendicular. And then in question number 8, they have so many scenarios. So I'm going to give you at least 6 to 8 of these with different scenarios. You don't need to do any math here. All you have to do is show 3 things. First thing, how do you come up with your equation, or how do you come up with the solution? That's the thing. So you have to draw a little tiny graph. For example, let me list this. Let's say perpendicular to the y-axis. So what you need to do? First, draw your y-axis. And then you need to draw a perpendicular line. So what type of line you need to draw that is perpendicular to your y-axis? a horizontal line. So what's the slope of any horizontal line? Slope of any horizontal line is? Any horizontal line.
X.
0. It's a number, x is a variable. It has x in equation. Sorry, not equation. X in y-axis. So slope for any horizontal line is 0. Slope of any vertical line is undefined. So since the line they're asking for is a horizontal line, its slope must be 0. And what's the equation for any horizontal line? Y equals a number. Horizontal line has y equals, vertical line has x equals. So in this equation, in this question, what is your y value? -5. So the equation is y equals -5. So these 3 things you have to do. Figure out how you're going to come up with the answer, what's the slope of that line, and what's the equation of that line.
You just you
This is the graph.
yeah, you still have to show that.
Otherwise, how do I know whether you copied from your neighbor or did you use your brain? Show me your thinking process. This is your thinking process. Show me your thinking process, and then I can see, oh, that's how you came up with those answers. So each point, each part, or 1 point, 1 point, 1 point, 1 point. So one question is 3 points. If I give you 8, that means 3 times 8 is how much? 3 times 8? So question number 8 or 24 points alone. That's all you have to do. You're not doing any math. Flashcard now. You cannot use anything. No, sorry, but you're not allowed. By the Department of Policy. By the Department of Policy, you cannot use anything during the exam. Only pen or pencil, not even calculator. For this exam, ignore all these things. You're not going to see any of this in the exam. I'm going to put them from 3.6. All you have to do is draw a vertical line through your graph and then tell me, does it represent a function or not? So if the vertical line crosses more than once, it's not a function. If it crosses only once, it is a function. So all of these will be 1 point. Then which equation? All you have to do is observe your y and figure out their equation or their function or not. So one question is for yes, no. Do they represent do the equation represent a function or not? All these equations. So you write yes or no. If yes, why? Because y has odd power. If no, why? Because y has an even power. So if you forget to write y and just write because even power, because of odd power, I'll give you 0. Because you have 2 variables, x and y. So you have to indicate which variable you're talking about. You only talk about y when you look for equation to be function or not. And then from question 11, from A and C, one of these you'll see. Obviously the numbers will be different, okay? But the format will be fraction. From graphing, you're going to find both domain and range. So you don't need any math. For domain, you look at the lowest left point to the highest right point. And for range, you look at the lowest y value on the bottom to the highest y value on the top. That's what you have to do. And infinity always gets parentheses. And if you stop at a number like here, then that number will get brackets. For question number 13, definitely B and C. And if I have space, I'm going to give you A to give you some free points. For A, you don't need to show any work at all. Anytime you see a line, it's always continuous forever. So its domain is from infinity, negative infinity to positive infinity. And when you write your interval, remember, you always have to start with the smallest number and then the largest number. You cannot switch the position. If you switch, then you're going to lose point. You're going to get 0. Now, for rational, we have always a problem. Denominator cannot be 0. So state your condition. Denominator cannot be 0. Solve for x. And then, if it makes your life easier, draw the graph and then write in the interval notation. For radical, there is only one problem. We cannot have any negative thing inside the radical. So condition is inside has to be bigger than or equal 0, and then solve for x. And then your equation will always have a bracket for number and parentheses for the infinity. So rational, everything will have parentheses, but square root will have bracket on the left or right, whatever. The number will get the bracket, and infinity will get the parentheses.
We'll just go with the process.
Yep. If you just give me this answer without showing anything at all, you know. And I'm really strict about that. You must show your work to get at least some point. If it says partial credit allowed, then if you show me something correct, you get at least some points. But everything is wrong and suddenly get the correct answer, it's definitely 0. In 14, I'll give you 2 questions. One will have unique solution, means you can be able to solve for x and y. And the other one, when you solve, x and y, they'll get vanished, so you're left with only numbers. That means either you have no solution or infinite solution. If you have the same number, let's say 5 equals 5, once you do the elimination or substitution, then it means infinite solution. But let's say if we have negative 5 equals 5, definitely this is wrong, right? So wrong means no solution. So one of these, either infinite solution or no solution, and then one of them you really have a number for your x and y. And lastly, from 4.5, one question from C and D. Only one. Okay, so you have to do all of these in 1 hour 15 minutes. So don't be late. We have a class after our class, so I cannot give you any extra time. Okay, so good luck, everyone. Don't forget to do 4.123 homework quizzes. Study smart.
It's a new sheet. Sorry.
I was like, what happened to my sign?
No, they updated the sheet.
Oh.
Thank you.
Tuesday no school.
You don't email me this first.
Hmm?
You asked to attempt whether they did the questions or not. I just need the email.